Hey there, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thanks for stopping by. And if you are a subscriber, thanks for being part of this beauty community. We are going back again because last video I went back to a palette that I kind of forgot about. And now I'm going back to a brand that I kind of just forgot about. You know, like I said, you get caught up in trying new things and new brands and you forget about some of the things that you really love. So I'm going back to MAC Cosmetics and I picked up the Flamboyant palette. So before we start the tutorial, I'm just going to give you like a little tour of the palette. So here's how it looks. I love the packaging and how artistic it looks. And I like that on the back, all of the shades and the finishes of the shades are listed, which I think is a really nice feature. This palette also has a huge mirror, which is always a really nice feature in a palette because then you don't need necessarily another mirror, especially if you're using it on the go. So it's always nice to have. There are 7 matte shades and 5, I believe they're foils because they're marked with an F, shades in this palette, and they're all in that sort of like warm neutral family, which is really lovely. I really love that we've got this great mixture of the maroon sort of shades, the oranges and the reds and the bronzes, because I feel like this could take you through all season. So maybe going more golden and bronze during the summer, maybe getting more into those burnt oranges and maroons in the fall. And of course, I mean, in the winter, anything goes because we're just trying to get through it. So this is a look that I created with this palette and we're gonna go step by step through it. So let's just get right into it. We're gonna start with this light orange matte shade and use that all over for a little wash of color because I mean, we always start with a wash of color and that's not stopping now. And I'm also using a big fluffy eyeshadow brush to apply this color. I really love the color story of this palette. I think that these colors are nice neutrals, but they also really pop. So I'm excited to continue playing around with this. Now we're going to grab some of this light tan matte shade and use a big fluffy eyeshadow brush and start to create some dimension in the crease. So this isn't going to be dramatic, but it's going to start to build that crease area. And you can see I'm not being like super precise with where I'm applying this because it's not going to make that much of a difference. It's just kind of like our starter color. Sort of like a nice little transition shade, but I am making sure that I'm not closing this corner off, so I'm just kind of going like straighter there, but really just sweeping this through. We're going to further define the crease with this deeper orange shade and a more focused crease brush, and we are going to start by focusing on the outer portion of the crease and then sort of blend it inwards. And you can see how this is really starting to give the crease some nice definition. We're going to grab one of the deeper red mattes, this one down here at the bottom, and a pointed fluffy eyeshadow brush, and we're going to use this color to further define the crease and the outer corner. Once I've got the crease to where I want it, I'm just going to tap this onto the outer corner. I'm going to clean off my brush, and now I'm just going to blend this inner part just to make sure that it's nice and seamless. Again, I'm being careful to not go downward. I'm going more straight just because that keeps my eye shape a little more open. But of course, depending on your eye shape, you may change the direction in which you're going. I'm going to go back to this little small guy and grab that sort of darker orange shade and go ahead and start to build that smoke along the lower lash line. And because this is sort of like a smoky lash line, I'm being sort of generous with the product and not all that precise because we don't, want to be like smoky. So it doesn't have to be like super precise. And I'm just gonna sort of buff it in to kind of meet that orangey shade on the outside. I'm gonna go back to our pointed crease brush and grab that deeper red shade and go ahead and smudge that onto the lower lash line as well. I'm also gonna make sure that this is meeting its little sister color on the top. So I'm just sort of buffing it into the corner just to make sure that they are co-mingling with each other. Now I'm going to grab a little detail brush and we're going to grab this deepest matte shade just to further define that lower lash line. I just really love how these colors come together for this little like smoky effect. I don't do it all that often, but I just really like how it looks with this color combo. All right, now comes the fun part, adding the sparkle to the lid. So I have a big fluffy eyeshadow brush, well, kind of more like a densely packed eyeshadow brush. And we're gonna grab this lighter, sort of like pinky gold shade. It's a really pretty shade and I can't quite put my finger on exactly what color it is, but we're gonna use that over most of the lid. And like, look at that pigment. These shimmer shades are like really, really buttery. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. They apply really, really nicely and you don't need a lot. Now that I've got it on, I'm gonna clean off my brush and just buff out the edges. Now I'm gonna grab this deeper shimmer shade and I'm gonna apply that on the outer half of the lid just to kind of make like a gradient from that lighter shade to where the darker matte is. I guess you'll kind of like see what I mean, but just to sort of blend them a little better. I only tapped a little bit on and I'm gonna clean off my brush and then just mix them together. And to further blend, I'm gonna go back to my little guy and that matte shade and then just tap a little bit onto the shimmer just to get them nice and blended. So now I'm grabbing a fluffy eyeshadow brush and we're gonna go in with this lightest shimmer shade. And that's gonna be our sort of like inner eye highlight here. I'm using a fluffy brush because I don't want it to be too concentrated. And as you can see, these shadows are really, really pigmented. So this is gonna help disperse it a little more. And I'm really just gonna buff this into the inner corner. So I only tap my brush in once. And then of course I can build it up as needed. And I'm going to use a little brush and just kind of add some of that light color in the inner corner just to like make sure it's all on there, because that first brush is a little bigger, so it's hard to get in like the little nook and cranny there. So I just want to make sure that there is color there. I'm going to use an eyeliner brush that I'm going to smudge into a pencil liner and use that to lightly line my top lash line and the outer half of my bottom lash line. And last but not least, I'm going to use a pointed fluff brush and grab this lightest matte shade and just buff it into the brow bone. So now it's time for some setting spray, mascara, lashes, and lipstick, and then I'll be back with the final look. So this is the final look. I went with a brownish, nudish lip, of course, but I really enjoyed using these shadows. I think that this is a perfect palette really for any time of year, and I love that these colors were so blendable and work so very nicely together. So let me know what you think about this tutorial. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. There's a new video every single Friday, and hit that notification button so you can be first to know when there is a new video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.